as the siding that handles hail impact with ease. James Hardy knows how important.
Welcome back to part 2 of our conversation with Mayor Weddle there in Laurel County, Kentucky, the city of London. This is the second part of the conversation, and things took a mighty big turn, so we wanted to make this its own episode. Before I let you listen to this interview, I do want to say a couple of things. Number one, you are going to hear that this episode has been somewhat redacted. There are names and allegations that are made, and until I see the documentation for myself and see the legal documents, I do not think it would be wise to let everyone hear those names. So for his safety, our safety, and just for good reporting, I left those out and I replaced them with sounds to cover up their names. Once I get those documents and I feel differently about the situation, then we can revisit allowing those to be in the episode. Number two, there are a lot of very bad allegations that will come up in this case. If you are aware of any of these allegations, please know that we are calling these in to authorities. But if you have information, we ask you and urge you to please contact the authorities. And now let's get back into our interview with Mayor Weddle from London, Kentucky.
People who have terrorized this community. There's a lot more victims. Girls were coming out on social media saying when he started really ticking up in the Harless situation, girls were coming out saying he molested me when I was 16 years old. See, he was a truancy officer. And the trade out was you don't go to jail if you put out. And this happened for years. And everybody that lived here knew this was happening. And girl after girl, well, 7 of them come out on after started acting like a warrior for justice. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Well, that's why you see him kind of toned down now because, why does that get ignored? I don't know. That's the crazy thing to me.
Yeah, those are some big accusations. What's happening with those that are obviously you say that he has previous convictions, but with the new accusation seems like it may be more, I don't know, systematic, like a bigger deal. So what can be done there?
Have any of those been turned over to authorities to open a new investigation?
Yes. I do believe that a lot of people's reported them. A lot of people's afraid to come out here because of the fear. I think if you guys dug hard enough, there's a select group of this family that's been claims that they've murdered people here for speaking up and stuff like that. So there's a lot of fear around this, and everybody that lives here knows this. But if the names start getting ran, you'll see one of them advocating. His name's he was in the case. He was one of the boys that would send nude pictures of girls, and now he's out on social media blasting and coming after the mayor. There's another lady that's on there. She was married to. She's on the Justice for Doug page, advocating for chaos. These people could care less about that situation. What they do care about is either removing the mayor or seeing that I stop advocating for justice for everybody. And because I have been from the beginning, every girl that ever got molested and never got her day in court, to every boy that got molested and never got his day in court. So this is big. It's bigger than what is being seen. And that's why I want to do this interview. Could this get me killed? Absolutely. But I've told many people there's some things worth dying for.
And for those listening on podcast, he's holding up legal documents of, can you tell us what that was that you were holding up when you're talking about Mr.
This was the interview with the London City Police during the day, the investigation of.
Sure. So actual legal documents of these things
we've got tons of them.
So you have a book of receipts for things that you're bringing up to us.
Yeah, and we could prove where these names correlate. It's not me getting on social media saying this, and this, and with no basis. These names correlate, and there's a systemic issue that's been going back for years. And again, let me say this. This interview is not to take away from the Doug Harless situation.
Sure.
I'm committed there. But let's go ahead and expose the ones that's playing into this, the ones that are using or trying to hijack this situation for a political purpose.
I mean, that was a bombshell.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Exposing people on social media is one thing, but I just want to make sure, what legal avenues are you pursuing to make sure that not only are they exposed, but they're also held accountable if that's the case?
We are going down every avenue possible. Anybody that will ever listen, everybody in media since I have been in here in office, we have tried to talk to, because sometimes getting the attention from the feds, you need the media to put heat on that situation. A lot of the local people don't want to be involved because, again, go back and look at these people's Facebook. They've been blasting me and tearing me up for 4 years now. Been saying everything under the sun. A lot of people don't want to endure that. Whether they're in a position they could arrest these people or not, they just don't want it because they bully. There's no doubt about it. They've tried to shut me up for years.
We spoke off the air about how they have tried to shut you up recently. Are you willing to make that a public comment?
Yeah, so we were coming back from church and we were on 80 and I was with, thankfully, at the time. And during this thing, we wanted to get out and get into some old Pentecostal church time. So we both grew up in the Holiness Church. So we went to church that night and we seen an individual there at that church. And I'm not going to correlate this to them at all because I'm not sure. But that is somewhere close to this group. Upon leaving the church, we got on Hal Rogers Parkway, and as we was traveling down through there, we got into this one spot, noticed a car flashing lights behind us. I then tell, I say, something may be wrong with the car, or they maybe are just trying to pass us. So he goes to slow down, pulls to the side of the road. I don't remember if he completely come to the stop or not. About that time, that car began to make a U-turn. And then we heard what we thought to be 4 shots ring out and sped off. Wow. So the vehicle wouldn't hit, thankfully. I think it was just when we seen the car making that U-turn on the parkway, something instinctively inside his head said there's something wrong here. So he sped off.
Were you all in an official vehicle, or was this a personal vehicle that somebody had followed you out of church or to church?
So we were an official vehicle. Obviously, these days in traveling with the theft threats that we've been receiving, not way before the Harless situation. This is an issue that goes way back, guys.
Yeah. So again, this is a lot. You're sharing a lot of accusations of, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but systematic sexual misconduct. Are you going as far as saying that trafficking could be a part of this? How high does this go? And I know you don't have all the answers. Yeah,
that it goes. But I know that there is an issue when a man can molest, and multiple men can molest women or young girls and boys in your community, and it's swept under the rug, and then those people continue to live their lives and continue to do it. Something's wrong. And again, I do not want this taken away from the Doug Harless situation, but the people around this are the systemic corruption that's here. And that's what I want to expose. And then let's not even air this if it's going to take away from this family in the Doug Harless situation or my PD or whatever. But I don't want to do that. But I do want people to realize who has championed the hanging of the mayor and what is their motive. I think if you guys coming down here interviewed people individually and asked them these names, they're going to be like, these people have beaten people, violated so many civil rights. 2 of them was troopers. 2 of the brothers was trooper when the brother was working in the truancy officer for the school. And they got by with anything and everything. You talk about tampering with witnesses. There's court cases showing that both of them tampered with these witnesses in different cases. The case alone, the brother had his own case. Special prosecutor comes in, and nobody understands how didn't get convicted for that. He talks about, tells him one part in the case that they're wanting $5,000 because they had to take the two victims over state lines. So they took them to state lines so they didn't appear in court. So in some of the text messaging, now this came off their phones. He says that they want $5,000. Replies back, well, we'll just have to get them the money. Wait a minute. You've not been prosecuted for taking witnesses over state lines to keep them out of the courts. And for clarification, when went to jail, he didn't go to jail for the assault on these girls. He went for having pictures on his phone because the two girls never showed up in court. Well, why? They were hid out in his brother's cabin or brother's father-in-law's cabin in North Carolina. So that kind of puts things in a little bit different perspective, what's really going on here.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a lot bigger than how many nights you're sleeping in your London residence per month, as opposed to one of your other houses, which is the types of things that people are bringing up. So obviously this stuff is with Doug's case, and we're going to continue to report and share things as we get them about what happened to Doug, how justice will be served and it'll be prevented in the future. But for all this other stuff, where does the community go from here? You're obviously speaking out to try to get some more eyes on this. Whose eyes do we need to start making changes?
We need the feds.
Is that something that you can just request as a mayor or as a police department, that kind of support?
The requests have been made. Yeah. They've been made over a year ago. Listen, when people said the feds were going to come in and look at the Harless situation, I'm all for it. Mm-hmm. Please do. And while you're here, we've got some other issues.
Yeah.
We champion that. I can assure you.
There's a federal court, if I'm not mistaken, in London, and there is an FBI facility in London.
There is.
You would think that there would be a relationship between city police and FBI to some extent because they're located there. In other cities, there's not FBI agents in every city. So London's a little bit unique in that there is a headquarters there, and the federal court is there as well.
And you're correct, there is. And again, I'm not trying to take nothing away from the agents that we have here. Mm-hmm. It's like anything else in any government agency ran thing. I'm sure that they have objectives and things that they look into. Manpower and everything else is an issue. But when you looked at the pardons that Bevin gave out, there were one guy that was looked at, and that was they wound up going after him, but the rest of the pardons kind of got swept under the rug. And this was one situation. And I don't know I don't know the laws on it. I don't know if there's certain particular things that they looked at or they have to have. Mm-hmm. But I definitely think that somebody needs to take a look somewhere. And again, I go back to, with this situation with Doug Harless, please, if the feds want to come in and look at that, please do. The people saying the state police is going to do us a favor. Well, if people will go Google this, one of the guys around the state police investigation, I'm suing. State police is, whether you like them or don't, I believe they're an honorable agency, and they're going to do what needs to be done in this. But I'm not going to get nothing favorable out of this because one of the troopers, I'm literally suing. Or I've tried to sue and, learned that it's a little harder for a politician to sue individuals, which he's tied into this group that we're talking about.
Is that lawsuit at all related to any of this, or is that just a personal aside?
It's just him telling lies on Facebook and him being a public official too. I wanted to hold him accountable. I mean, he's a trooper. If he feels like I'm committing a crime, come in and investigate me. Don't put it on Facebook with tagged to it with.
And I guess that's kind of the same thinking I have is you've brought accusations today. So I just want to make sure that those have been turned over to the proper authorities too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes.
And,
yes.
And a lot of the complaints that we have heard in these city council meetings, and again, we've just been around for a few, have been about transparency. And you're sharing a lot of things that we have never heard before. And I know you're not sharing all the things that you know because of a combination of legal issues and personal safety. But what would you say to those out there that say there is no transparency within the office? Maybe he's saying these things to deflect and get the attention off him.
I don't want the attention off me. I understand I'm the mayor of London, and the Harless situation, wherever it comes out, that happened under my watch. I don't know about search warrants. They don't advise me of search warrants, but that is my responsibility. And, I believe as a good leader, you have to own whatever. And if the people see fit that whatever the ending of this is, that I don't deserve to be in office because of that, I'll accept that. But this is not, and I've said it during this interview, I'm not wanting to deflect off that.
Right.
But what I want to do is take a group that I feel like is terrorizing a family. Here's from my perspective. The family needs answers. They need to know the truth. They need to know the facts and what's happened in this case. And then you have a perversion of politics coming in and telling them lies. Imagine they're hurt right now.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine what they're going through. And then coupled on top of that, they're being told this big corrupt or this fake task force just came in and did this. Imagine that on top of that. So there's my responsibility. It's like, how do you stop that from happening? Because they don't deserve that. The PD don't deserve that. What we deserve is the facts as a community. And that's the message that I want to send the most. It's like, exposing who's trying to control the narrative, and then letting people know accountability is going to be there. It's not a never moment in my mind that we want to hide anything. We're not hiding nothing. It's just at this time, we absolutely just cannot say anything.
Where would you advise people to go if they have information about any of this, the Doug Harless stuff, the sexual misconduct? If somebody hears this and says, you know what, I remember a story about this happening and it happened to someone I love, and I want to see things change. Where do they go with this? It's just straight to the city police, to local state troopers?
No, I don't think so. I think if like he stated, we have a federal building right inside of our city limits. Go to the feds.
Okay.
Tell them that you're ready to speak up and tell your story.
Okay.
The Doug Harless, go to the Kentucky State Police, the Post 11 there, talk to them guys if you've got more information. When soon as this happened, I launched an administrative investigation. The recording of one of our officers and the judge, my investigation found it. We immediately sent it to KSP and gave it to the attorneys. We exposed it immediately. Now they're upset because they feel like that we leaked it to the media or whatever. My thing is why do you even care? I didn't do it. But why? Why do you want to hide it? Let everything be out in the open about this.
Sure.
And you've seen on social media saying the mayor put that out there, the mayor put that up. Well, what's it matter? Why are you trying to hide it?
Yeah.
So who is really trying to hide stuff in this? And then here's this. My biggest question. I knew nothing about this, and you'll never be able to say, you could never pull a phone record saying I did know about this case, but the judge did. How did this? Then a recording comes up catching him in a lie that it wasn't his property. He tells the news things, and then comes out and recording it was his property. And notice how this group of people, individuals, the judge is a good man, but the mayor is a piece of shit.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to start seeing things for what they're worth and see what's truly happening here.
Well, Mayor Weddle, you've given us a ton to digest. I am honestly not sure where to go with more questions at this point. Are there other thoughts or facts that you'd like us to share during this conversation? And hopefully we can follow up with some later ones with some news of cleaning some of this stuff up.
Yeah. Again, we are committed to being transparent about the Harless situation. Our hearts do and have been with the family. And I can assure them more than anybody that if any wrongdoing is found and the KSP gets done with this, I will hold everybody accountable. But I ask for patience and let's wait and see what comes out in this. And because again, I don't have all the facts in that. I wasn't there, and KSP ain't sitting down with me talking to me about it. But what little bits we do find out, like I go back to the recording, we expose it, we got it out, sent it to the, to KSP. So we're doing everything we can on our end. But I know people's wanting answers. They're wanting to the bottom of this. And I want them to know that I'm committed. At the end of this, we will have a 100% transparent, where I told my IT team that we put it on the website. We link it to where people can have a play-by-play, minute by minute. This officer texting this officer, this phone recording, whatever it may be, we're going to lay it out there. Because no matter if it makes me look bad, makes the judge look bad, or whoever look bad, we're going to make sure that the facts get laid out there. And at the end, that's all I want.
All right. Well, thank you again for coming on. We appreciate your time, and certainly have a lot more to think about than I did before I had this conversation.
And documentations, we would love to get them to you, because I don't want you going off of, listen, it's cliche, maybe, but once you get in office, everybody automatically thinks that you're a politician and you're corrupt in some way. I'll send you what I'm talking about.
Okay.
This is not made up documents. There's documents supporting what I'm telling you.
Okay.
And let you see it for yourself.
Nope, that's great. And we'll share as much of that as we can publicly as soon as we get it as well. So thanks again, Mayor Weddle, and good luck in getting this stuff cleaned up.
Thank you guys for staying on the story. We appreciate you.
You've listened to True Crimecast, distributed by Stoveleg Media. Check out stoveleg.com to find out more about your hosts and to find other podcasts to listen to. Stoveleg Media, igniting conversation.